Welcome to Module 1, Stren number 10 of the Educational Community Curriculum on Making Our Life Wonderful. Today's Happiness and Love Creation Stren explains the importance of patience.
We require patience to pursue the common sense solutions that are necessary for long-term benefits. Patience is critical to teach ourselves the wisdoms that free us from dictators and to wisely self-manage our creative power. Patience is also the means we come to value prevention and thereby spare us the need to repair damage from impulsive action. Prevention is action we take now to convert a future negative event into a non-event. Since future non-events are seldom rewarding, we require considerable patience to initiate preventive action. Every newborn expresses the impatient motto, "I want what I want when I want it." The immature mind divides the world into two entities, me and not me. Helpless and requiring that every need be provided, crying, loud, angry, and as long as it takes to get attention is one of the universal hallmarks of impatience. Our work in progress is transforming ourselves from a demanding, self-centered crybaby into a powerful and wise creator. Patience is the voluntary decision to forego immediate reward or tolerate stress because we understand alternative action brings us preferable lasting future benefits. Patience involves applying common sense wisdom to knowledge. We imagine alternative courses of action, apply logic to choose from among them, and then devise a preferred course of action to reach the future goal. Patience is the mother of good judgment. Resignation, on the other hand, implies passively submitting to authority other than our own. For example, instinct and tradition demand that we automatically follow their directions even when they are not supported by common sense. Instinct and tradition are powerful dictators because they are hardwired to emotion. Common sense intelligence is supported by logic. Logic is devoid of emotion. That's why instinct and tradition usually dominate intellect until we attach emotion to common sense thinking. Instinct pre-wires us during the 9 months that precede our birth. We inherit a vast repertoire of the trial and error behaviors that have survived virtually every test nature has created over billions of years. Instinct's pre-wired commands to protect ourself and our tribe, irrespective of the harm to others, along with our superior intelligence, explains why we are among the 2 to 3% of Earth's creatures that have avoided extinction through the ongoing drama of creation. Instinct advocates the mindless emergency survival of the fittest and fight-or-flight responses that were successful in a primitive environment. Tradition consists of the tried-and-true solutions that our ancestors proved were effective to solve today's problems based on yesterday's knowledge. From birth through the 2 or 3 decades we require to free our thinking from fate and circumstance, we submit to whatever programming our nurturers make of us. Tradition determines our language, which country, religion, and political view constitute our tribe, our gender behavior, and even what we are to think. We benefit from instinct and tradition because they provide us many solutions that were arrived at by others' mistakes. They thereby spare us from having to learn by repeating the same poor judgment. Being programmed to benefit from others' solutions and mistakes is a fantastic asset. Instinct is programmed in our biology prior to our birth. Our nurturers program their traditions during our decades-long journey from birth to maturity. Instinct and tradition are very powerful because they live in the older portion of our brain that links them to emotion. Their hardwired directions offer ready-made, virtually automatic, effortless, easy-to-follow directions because good and right are clearly distinguished from evil and wrong. They don't require common sense wisdom to create newer solutions. Instinct and tradition are marvelous assets because they are on ready alert to provide us tested and proven solutions to challenges to our well-being. Effectiveness is based on past success. Common sense evaluation of effectiveness prior to action, what we call prevention, is lacking. It is a trade-off for having previously scripted automatic reactions to threatening situations. And since most of the challenges we face are repetitions of past challenges, hardwired solutions usually work. Unfortunately, this is not completely so. New knowledge takes us into inexperienced territory. Novel challenges may require that we bypass or override the demands of instinct and tradition. Creative solutions to new problems are a primary function of our mature cerebral cortex. Like a lighthouse's searchlight, one function of our freedom organ is to scan the horizon and focus on those areas that need attention. The cortical portion of our brain, when mature, has the ability to make good judgment by applying logic and universal wisdom to current knowledge. Our use of symbols allows us to mentally rehearse alternative actions, apply common sense logic to wisely choose from among them, and then devise the paths that create the preferred outcome. Voila! Eureka! Brilliant! Hurrah for our newer common sense way of thinking. But wait! There is a major problem. Emotion rules intellect. We engage in mental rehearsal. We clearly understand that the future benefits of delaying immediate gratification are greater and longer lasting. Yet we succumb to immediate emotional satisfaction. How often have you clearly known what is in your best long-term interest, but still took action according to what was satisfying or relieving of tension at the moment? Can you think of examples involving food or anger where you gave in to emotions and later regretted your actions? Since instinct and tradition are hardwired to emotion, we are innately prone to remain servant to the commands made by those dictators. Yesterday's solutions to new problems often lead to short-term gain at the expense of long-term pain. Even though our original self-designed, brilliant plan offers a more lasting positive outcome, emotion commonly triumphs over good judgment. No matter how much we increase our creative power through new knowledge, our thinking remains servant to instinct and tradition until we teach ourselves sufficient patience to replace hardwired solutions with common sense problem solving. Patience is a necessary ingredient to attain mental freedom from instinct and tradition, what we call self-mastery. Common sense wisdom, unlike passively acquired instinct and tradition, is not hardwired. Common sense problem solving requires the patience to acquire knowledge, collect data, mentally imagine alternative action pathways, wisely select from the alternatives, and then devise and implement a plan to reach the preferred future destination. The secret of adding emotion to intellect to strengthen common sense thinking is the powerful wisdom to be provided in the next Stren. Here's a bit of bonus information about the importance of patience. Nature has gifted us its latest model brain. It contains a freedom organ, our sophisticated cerebral cortex that distinguishes us from all other life. Collectively, humankind is provided the intelligence to become not only master of its own destiny, but also determine the future of Mother Earth. Individually, we may become master of ourself. We are the growing edge of a work in progress by a force that has created all that is about us. Only we have the ability to use symbols, assign meaning to our interpretations, manipulate our mental creations, and apply willpower to introduce new phenomenon into the physical world we share in common. No other life, past or present, has such power to acquire and interpret knowledge. We alone collect, store, share, and pass knowledge on to future generations who become increasingly powerful creators. We introduce new phenomena into the world like automobiles, libraries, and nuclear bombs, which nature would never produce without the action of our intelligent freedom organ. As we continue to amass knowledge of the universal rules of cause and effect, we increasingly add to both our creative and destructive power. Consider how each successive war introduces newer, more powerful weapons. From teeth, sticks, and stones that require direct contact to injure one person at a time, we have created such ultimate destructive power that one individual can set off Armageddon by the utterance of a sound or the push of a button without any personal contact with a so-called enemy. Due to the current explosion of our sciences, we have suddenly made ourselves such powerful creators that we now determine who we are, what we become, and who among Earth's creatures will survive. We suddenly find ourselves in a race to establish utopia on Earth before we become the first creature to intentionally cause its own extinction. The extraordinary drama of our generation is that after 3.5 billion years of life on Earth, our very generation has accumulated sufficient knowledge to make us master of all that is about us, as we yet struggle to make us master of ourselves. Humankind has elevated itself to become the most powerful tribe in Earth's long history. We are the growing edge of creation's work in progress. The more powerful we make ourselves, the less we remain dependent on fate and circumstance. With our privilege, we assume responsibility, and with it, our burden. With patience, we can teach ourselves a newer way of thinking that applies universal common sense wisdom to knowledge. With patience, we can claim our willpower and elevate ourselves to the limits of our imagination. Without it, we will continue to be dominated by instinct, tradition, and/or human dictators whose self-serving interests will predictably lead to the unleashing of our new weapons with ultimate destructive power. In the next Stren, I want to be specific about how we acquire patience.